Okay, so for this, let's not think of it as a lecture. Let's think of it as a journey. We're going to walk through a kind of parable, one that takes us into one of philosophy's most challenging and honestly most electrifying landscapes. Let's get started. So our story begins right here. Picture a lone wanderer standing under this kind of icy dawn. The old sun, that familiar warmth of divine guidance, it's gone. And this isn't some kind of victory celebration. It's more like a cold, heavy fog of nihilism rolling over everything. The old authorities, the old shadows, they've disappeared, leaving humanity to just wander in this vacuum of meaning. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of our parable. In a world where there's no pre-written script, what meaning can we possibly find? If all the old maps are totally useless, how are we supposed to navigate this new world? This is the great challenge. But as we're about to see, it's also the great opportunity. Our journey first takes us down, into the valley below, to see one of the first consequences of this new world. It's here that we meet a new kind of person, one who reacts to this terrifying freedom not with courage, but with this desperate scramble for comfort. This is the last man. He lives in this shallow glow of what you might call a risk-averse, mediocre contentment. Yeah, he calls it happiness, but it's a small, timid little thing. It's the stagnant warmth of the herd, a life without any real passion or struggle or greatness, a life where everyone is basically the same and no one dares to dream too high or fall too far. Just look at the contrast here. The two paths are laid bare. On one side, you have the ideal of the Superman, a figure of frenzy and lightning, someone driven by longing, chaos, and a total disdain for mediocrity. It's a life of struggle for sure, but it's also a life of incredible growth. And on the other side, the last man. He's afraid of anything that might disturb his superficial little peace. He just wants comfort. He avoids all risk. He simply blanks. But let's just pause on that for a second. Why would Nietzsche use a word like despicable? It seems so harsh for what looks like a peaceful existence. What's so dangerous about this small, safe kind of comfort? Well, here's the reason. The last man is despicable because he's lost the ability to be dissatisfied with himself. He's lost what Nietzsche calls the arrow of longing, that inner tension that pushes us to become something more. In his comfortable little world, he abandons the very struggle that forges a new humanity. He becomes the comfortable grave of our future potential. But of course, there is another path. It's a difficult, steep climb out of that valley of shadows. This is the path for anyone who chooses not to be an end, but to be a bridge, a beginning. This is the path of becoming an overgoer. The first step on this climb is to plant your feet firmly on the ground, to remain true to the earth. And what that really means is rejecting the poisoners, those who devalue this life by promising rewards in some distant afterlife. They're asking you to trade the vibrant blood of the present for the pale ghosts of a heavenly realm. And that's a poison that just stops our evolution in its tracks. Okay, the next step is pretty radical. Zarathustra calls for the hour of great contempt. It's a profound dissatisfaction with yourself, and he says that is the fuel for transformation. Now, this self-contempt isn't a weakness. It's a sign that your soul recognizes its own imperfections and sees the huge potential for growth. It's the chaos you have to have within you to give birth to a dancing star. So this is the process, right? First, you have to face that great contempt. Then comes the downgoing, which is this necessary act of self-sacrifice where you actively tear down the old beliefs, the comfortable values that are holding you back. It's only by shedding that old skin that you can get ready for the really dangerous crossing, the journey from who you are now to who you could become. So what fuels this incredible, painful, creative journey? Deep inside, an inner fire starts to stir. This is the engine of the whole transformation, a concept that is so often misunderstood. The will to power. And let's be crystal clear about this. The will to power is not about dominating other people. It's the fundamental internal drive for self-mastery. It's that creative fire that lets you impose order on your own internal chaos, the urge to grow and overcome your own limitations. Think of it like this. The will to power is that deep-down urge that's always pushing you to become more. It's the creative impulse to not just accept the values you're given, but to forge new ones. It's a radical yes to life, seeing struggle not as something to run from, but as a chance to grow. And ultimately, it's the difference between just surviving and actually flourishing. So if the will to power is the engine, what's the destination? Well, this tough journey leads toward a new horizon, a new goal for humanity itself, the Superman. This is Zarathustra's huge, profound declaration. With the heavens empty, humanity has to create its own meaning, right here, right now on Earth. And the Superman is that meaning, an ideal to strive for, a goal to be realized through our own efforts. It's really the ultimate expression of the will to power in human form. Now, the Superman isn't some new biological species. It's an individual who manages to rise above the morality of the herd to become a fellow creator. This is someone who doesn't just follow the rules, they write them. They actively shape their own destiny, engraving new values onto new tablets for all of humanity. And now we've reached the final peak of our ascent. This is the ultimate test of this whole philosophy. It's a profound and, frankly, terrifying thought experiment. It's known as the eternal recurrence. I want you to really imagine this. A demon appears and says to you, this life, as you now live it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more. Every single pain and every single joy, all in the exact same sequence. What would you do? Would you throw yourself on the ground and curse the demon, or would you embrace it? The triumphant answer of the overgoer, the one who has truly mastered themselves, isn't just to accept this fate, but to will it. To be able to look back on every mistake, every sorrow, every single triumph, and say with the full force of your being, thus I willed it. It is the ultimate act of taking charge, of transforming your entire past into a conscious choice. And so, having passed this ultimate test, the transformation is complete. The wanderer now walks with the pride of an eagle, soaring high above the herd, and with the wisdom of the serpent, always staying true to the earth. They walk toward the rising sun of their own highest potential, a glorious, total affirmation of their earthly destiny. So our parable ends here, but your journey, well, that's just beginning. We're left with this one final thought. The earth is the only place this potential can be realized. The heavens are empty, the canvas is blank. So, the question is, what new values will you create?